Yeah, Pat used to come see me literally every single day, so I was chilling. I was like,
So he came up every day? Every visit?
for the first year, he came literally every single day. When you're in a max, you have a visit every day, except for it alters on the weekends, Saturday or Sunday. So literally the first year,
How
he came
far is
every day.
Bedford Hills from?
It's about 45 to an hour, depending on
So
traffic.
he was running up there every day, like coming up there.
Yeah, to
back
like,
to
I
mall.
mean, it got to a point where I had to tell him like, yo, like, I'm good. I'm all right. Like, and I guess like when he believed it.
When people talk about love stories in hip hop, there are a few couples that always come up, and Remy Ma and Papoose were one of them. For years, they weren't just another celebrity couple people scrolled past online. They were the couple people actually believed in. The kind of relationship that fans would point to and say, this is real love. Through everything the industry throws at people, they looked like they had something solid, something that could survive anything. Remy Ma had already built her name in the rap game as someone strong, outspoken, and fearless. Papoose, on the other hand, was known for being calm, focused, and deeply respected in hip-hop circles. When they came together, it felt like opposites in the best way possible. She brought fire, he brought stability. And for a long time, it really looked like that balance worked for them. But what made their story even more powerful in the eyes of the public was what happened during Remy Ma's prison sentence. When she went to jail in 2008, most people assumed relationships like that don't survive. That distance, that pressure, that time apart usually breaks things beyond repair. But Papoose didn't walk away. He stayed, and not just in words, but in actions that people still talk about years later. He visited her regularly, adjusting his life around those visits. He even structured his schedule around seeing her, sometimes showing up Monday through Friday just to maintain that connection. He put his music career on hold, declined opportunities, and avoided events just to stay consistent in her life while she was locked up. That level of loyalty shocked people. In a world where relationships often collapse under smaller problems, Papoose was standing firm through something huge. Fans started calling him rare, different, even old school in the best way. It wasn't just admiration anymore. It turned into respect. There was even a moment that showed just how far he was willing to go. According to reports, Papoose once tried to sneak a skeleton key into the facility to help Remy. He was caught, and as a result, he was banned from visiting her for 6 months. Most people would have stepped back after something like that. But even that didn't break his commitment. Instead, something unexpected happened. After that incident and the restrictions that followed, Papoose decided to take things further. He married Remy Ma while she was still serving her sentence. That decision made their bond feel even more intense to the public. It wasn't just love anymore in the eyes of fans, it was devotion. And when Remy Ma eventually served her full time and was released after years behind bars, their relationship didn't fall apart like many expected. It actually continued. They stayed together, and for a while, it seemed like everything they went through only made them stronger. Papoose also publicly defended her multiple times during rumors and speculation that surrounded her name. When cheating allegations surfaced, he shut them down quickly, saying things like he loved her deeply and would never betray her. At that point, many people saw him as the definition of loyalty, but in relationships that live in the public eye, nothing stays simple forever, because over time, whispers started growing in the background. At first, they were just rumors, small comments online, speculation in blogs, nothing fully confirmed. But when enough people start repeating the same idea, it begins to feel bigger than it actually is. That's exactly what started happening here. People began questioning whether everything was really as perfect as it looked. And while there was no clear proof of anything at the time, the narrative slowly started shifting. Instead of just seeing a strong couple, people began looking for cracks. And once that shift starts, it rarely stops there. As time went on, the image of Remy Ma and Papoose as an unbreakable couple started to fade. Not all at once, but slowly, through conversations, rumors, and moments that fans began analyzing differently. Things that once looked like love started being reinterpreted through doubt. Then came the turning point. Reports of separation began to surface, and suddenly, everything people thought they knew about their relationship was being questioned. The idea of Black love goals that fans had held on to for years didn't feel as solid anymore. What made things even more complicated was the talk around alleged infidelity. Rumors started spreading that Remy Ma may have been involved with other people during their relationship. These claims were never fully clarified in a way that satisfied the public. But in the world of social media, unanswered questions often turn into accepted narratives. Papoose, however, continued to respond differently from what many expected. Instead of turning the situation into public drama, he stayed relatively composed and focused on denying rumors when necessary. At one point, he made a strong statement about loyalty, saying he would never cheat and that his commitment to Remy had never changed during their marriage. But the damage in public perception was already happening. Once people start seeing cracks in a relationship they once admired, every new detail gets magnified, every old memory gets re-examined, every interaction becomes suspicious. Eventually, the relationship officially reached a breaking point, and separation became part of the public conversation. That moment alone was enough to shift the entire narrative. The couple that once symbolized loyalty was now being discussed as a breakup story with unanswered questions on both sides. After the separation, things didn't just quietly end. They continued to evolve in public view. Remy Ma was later seen connected to another rapper, which immediately added more fuel to the already burning situation. Images and reports circulated of her being seen in public holding hands and appearing close with this new figure. While she initially tried to downplay or distance herself from the narrative, multiple outlets and observers confirmed the connection. This created even more division online. Some people saw it as her moving on with her life, while others viewed it as confirmation of earlier rumors. Either way, the conversation around her personal life became louder than the conversation around her career. Meanwhile, Papoose's name started coming up in a different context, not as part of the past relationship anymore, but as someone who might also be moving forward. Reports began suggesting that he had found someone new in his life, and this time the relationship was being kept very private. According to insiders, the new woman was younger and involved in the boxing world. Nothing was officially confirmed in a detailed way, but the idea alone was enough to reignite public attention. People started talking again, especially because Papoose had always been seen as someone deeply committed and emotionally loyal. The idea of him moving on wasn't necessarily surprising in reality, but in the context of their long history, it hit differently for fans. Especially for Remy Ma, because according to reports and online discussions, she was not emotionally prepared for this shift. There were claims that she still believed there was a chance of reconciliation between them. Some even pointed out that she had continued wearing her ring from their past, which only fueled speculation that she hadn't fully let go. And that's when things started getting more emotional online. People began interpreting her actions in different ways. Some saw it as unresolved love, others saw it as inability to move on. And once again, the internet split into sides, each one convinced they understood the situation better than the other. Then came another moment that added fuel to the fire. Remy Ma reportedly went live on social media and spoke about her feelings, her rights, and her perspective on everything that was happening. While she didn't give a simple or clean explanation of the situation, the emotional tone of her live stream caught attention quickly. Clips spread, reactions followed, and once again, the story expanded beyond the people directly involved, because now it wasn't just about a breakup anymore. It was about how both individuals were handling it publicly and whether emotions were still influencing decisions long after the relationship ended. And that's where the situation started heading into its most intense phase. By the time everything reached its peak, the story of Remy Ma and Papoose was no longer just about a relationship ending. It had turned into something much larger, something shaped by public opinion, online interpretation, and emotional reactions on all sides. Fans who once celebrated them as a symbol of loyalty were now divided. Some still sympathize with Remy Ma, believing that she was dealing with unresolved emotions and the weight of a long-term relationship that didn't end the way she expected. Others supported Papoose, seeing him as someone who finally chose to move forward after years of commitment and patience. What made the situation even more complicated was how differently people interpreted the same events. For some, Remy Ma still wearing her ring symbolized emotional attachment. For others, it meant she was struggling to fully close a chapter she once believed would last forever. There was no single interpretation that everyone agreed on, and that uncertainty kept the conversation alive. At the same time, Papoose's reported decision to keep his new relationship private added another layer to the discussion. Some people respected it, seeing it as a way to protect something new from public pressure. Others viewed it as a response to years of public scrutiny and emotional exhaustion. But in the middle of all these opinions, one thing became clear. Both of them had moved into completely different emotional spaces. Even if the public was still trying to connect them to the same story, Remy Ma's emotional responses, including her live stream discussions about rights and personal perspective, showed that she was still processing everything in her own way. Remy Ma and Papoose once represented something solid and inspiring to many people. Now, their story is seen through a more complicated lens, shaped by time, change, and human emotion. And even though the relationship has clearly shifted into a new chapter, the public conversation around it hasn't fully settled. Because once a story like this becomes part of the internet, it doesn't really end. It just keeps evolving every time someone brings it up again.